Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Coin Drop Podcast. This is episode 37. We had a little bit of an internal snafu trying to figure if we were on 37 or 38 because of the lost episode that happened on New Year's. Should be 38, but we are on 37.
Did you say New Year's?
Look, man, flubs, we're just gonna move past it. We're just gonna move right past it. Joining me again on the regular, yes, still the regular, still can't say always. Tim is here. How you doing, Tim? How was your week?
Oh, it's been a decent week for the most part. Tuesday and Wednesday, I was digging for 8 hours straight in rain-soaked clay, so it was pretty awful. I haven't felt great since Thursday, so I don't know if you can tell, but I'm not all here.
Yeah.
But, we're still talking video games, so I'm sure I'll pick up here shortly.
Yeah, we'll get there. This always seems to bring us to life a little bit. We get a bit animated in these episodes. It's a good time. My week's been wild. I don't know if you've been paying attention to the weather, but up here currently, I think it's -11, and it feels like -20 something outside.
Nice.
I had one job on Friday because the temperatures were so bad that the weather advisory basically said if you spend more than 10 minutes outside, you risk getting frostbite. So it's cold. It's cold. It's a little cold up here.
It's about to hit It's about to hit not that here, but we're about to get snow Monday, and we're gonna hit the very low double digits, which means wind chill will bring it down to like 6 or 5 or something like that. So for us, that sucks.
Yeah, but global warming. Right. Anyways,
yeah, 100%.
Let's talk some video games. So Suicide Squad has recently repealed their NDA. And you boys played it. Actually, all three of us played it. You, me, and Mike. And we got some thoughts. And, I think you and Mike are in the same boat, and I'm in a different one.
Yeah.
So...
they are different, but none of it is like, oh my God, that was amazing. But I mean, there's a mixture of, it's okay, it'll probably get better, or we enjoyed this part of it, and whatever. So we'll see.
Right. So let's go ahead and start with kind of what you thought about Suicide Squad.
So unfortunately, the gameplay timeline or time limit that you had wasn't super great for me, so I wasn't able to play as much as I would have liked to. I did get a little bit past the tutorial though, and ultimately, I think the thing that probably upset me the most was that each character basically was the same. They each had the same type of move, or they both had a double jump, and while the double jump was different per character, it was still effectively the same thing.
Right.
And it really doesn't matter which character you choose other than the weapons type they had. That did change things up a little bit. One guy's a sniper versus one guy's a machine gunner. And, I mean, again, that's different, but nothing was massively different. As for the actual gameplay loop itself, I did enjoy it enough, but I don't think $70 is going to be like a hell yeah, let's buy that.
Sure.
The marketing and the messaging for it has been a little weird. It was originally titled as a live service game, and now they're not calling it that. And Rocksteady is apparently like doing their best to actively avoid calling that, including internally.
Well, that was the post-plan, right? Like that's why they pushed it back, because they were getting rid of all the live service stuff, right?
That was actually denied.
Oh,
that was the rumor. That was the rumor by Tom Henderson or whatever his name was, some super big guy in the industry. But again, they denied that. However, they did recently, like a month and a half ago, something like that, they confirmed that they will eventually release an offline mode. That way you don't have to be always online to play the game. So that's good, simply because that means the game will always be playable.
Right.
So good. Hopefully by the time that the game is done, it'll be something special.
Unlike the day before, which killed a studio in 4 days.
I did enjoy the game ultimately because it felt a shit ton like Crackdown, and Crackdown was fun as hell. I loved Crackdown, and this game has a significantly better loop than Crackdown did, simply because it's like 15 years newer. So I'm more hopeful than anything on this game that it'll do well enough given what it is and given who made it. Maybe not hopeful, but I'm like, I want to be hopeful, I guess.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Cautiously optimistic, right?
There you go. There's a good.
What platform did you play it on? Can I ask?
I was on PlayStation 5.
Okay. All right. So I played it on PC, of course. Most people who tune in know that I am primarily a PC guy.
The master racer.
But look, man, I say play where you can. PC is.
He's not a douchebag master racer.
Yes, a PC is objectively better, but that's besides the point. You play where you can. I acknowledge that building a gaming PC is far more expensive, time-consuming, and just all around more exhausting than just buying a PlayStation or Xbox. Like I acknowledge that. You play where you can. I did not expect great performance when I opened the game. Like all games that are brand new, optimization comes generally this day and age after release. I expected poor optimization. Fine, okay. I am, especially with games like this that are live service or intended to be live service or whatever the case may have been or will be, I'm very critical. Because I already going into it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. We've talked about it again. I don't like games that want to boycott all my time. That's not what I'm for. That I don't like that. It's frustrating. Battle passes are great. They can be also horrible. It's about implementation. So live service games already just don't intrigue me. I gave this game 20 minutes of my time. And that's kind of what I do with new games that I'm not super already sold on, is like, okay, if they can't grab me in 20 minutes, I'll step away, and that's the end of that. Especially with live service games, like I said, I'm a bit more critical because they want to capitalize on my time. I didn't feel like this game was at all worthy of being a Rocksteady product. Like you said, it plays a lot like Crackdown. The characters all feel very similar. And what I mean by that is comparing it, and it's a bad comparison, I'll admit, but comparing it to Destiny, right? The jumps in Destiny, you can go and look at videos. The Hunter, the Titan, and the Warlock all jump differently, travel differently, move further than each other. I think the Hunter technically can jump the furthest, whatever the case may be. They have different mechanics that make them feel different. Titan gets like a jump pack, Hunter gets like a triple jump, Warlock gets like a teleport. Like they fundamentally feel different.
They're the same. They're the same ultimately, but they have different
arcs,
means of doing so,
and different arcs, right?
But
and so
this game did that a lot worse.
It did. I would say it didn't do it at all. I would say they copy pasted the code, which, like, my thing. I don't know that that's the case. I'm not going to say it is as a fact, but I will say that Killer Shark jumping the way he did not feel like what I would expect from Killer Shark. First of all, somebody like Killer Shark should not have to do a vertical leap to get up a building. He should be inherently able to just climb that bitch. Like, that's not something that felt natural for that character. As big as he is, as bulky as he is, I would have expected, like, anytime I needed to go up a vertical surface as Killer Shark, I'd just, like, stab my freaking meat hooks into it and climb it. Not being able to do that felt really weird. To have to go for a jump that, Deadshot has to do, that Captain Boomerang has to do, felt weird. Okay, so that aside, I didn't enjoy the movement. Their PC control implementation could have been better. It's very clear this game was designed for gamepad, which is very strange for me as a PC third-person shooter game. It felt very strange to not have good mouse and keyboard controls, in my opinion. Again, this is all just personal opinion. I mostly find it strange that like that's even a thing. PC control implementation is like. It should effectively be like grab code, drop in, done. I mean, obviously they'll have to tweak a little bit of things, but ultimately I don't see how that's it was a problem for anyone ever. It was bizarre. Like, God, I'm trying to remember what it like. The triple jump thing was like press alt and then release alt and click, and then it was so convoluted for their like jumping and moving mechanics. I'm like, excuse me, like what do you mean I can't just hit space 3 times? Like it just seemed really convoluted. I'm sure it plays fine on gamepad, does not translate well to mouse and keyboard. The other thing that really killed this game for me is, hands down, unarguably, the best thing about the Arkham games is their combat. The flowing combat of being Batman and beating the shit out of people is what made Rocksteady's games amazing. Story too, but the combat in itself was a huge masterpiece. And I mean,
Yeah, wasn't it actually? Didn't they like? They're the ones that invented that combat style.
yeah, and look at how many games have copied that. Spider-Man have copied that. Like, yeah, dude, it was groundbreaking. The way Assassin's Creed free climbing was groundbreaking. Like, it was one of those styles that everyone has since, in this kind of style of game, duplicated to better or less results. So having a combat system that revolved around melee hit to launch a guy into the air, sit there and shoot him, and then he dies, and then melee hit a guy and juggle him in the air, and then melee hit him and juggle him in the air, and like maybe a finisher here or there. Ugh. Did not enjoy the combat at all.
I personally, interestingly enough, I preferred Deadshot simply because he had that sniper. He had that sniper, and I also had the ability to levitate like the whatever the hell it's called, the Warlock in Destiny. Yeah. So, which is weird because I actually don't play the Warlock in Destiny, but I really like that about this game. They
have a lot less control over their levitation in Destiny.
Honestly, for me, really what I probably expect myself to do with this game is I expect it to go on sale at some point for $30 or less or whatever, and then not play it until it's offline, not offline only, but offline compatible, so we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Because by that point, that they're going to have adjusted a lot of things to be able to be played solo, which they actually might have as well, but. What I gathered from the story, because they do give you a little bit in the gameplay, and then just the trailer that you've grabbed, you can see that story is really important to this game, and Rocksteady does know how to do a good job on a story. So I'm hopeful that at the very least that aspect they can get right.
And that is the only saving grace, in my opinion, of this game. Rocksteady has come out and said that this is going to, in my opinion, that's the only saving grace, because Rocksteady themselves have come out and said that this is going to answer the kind of ambiguous, weird open ending of Batman Arkham Knight, and like where that led off. I don't know how that's going to tie in.
It's going to tie up loose ends for Arkham Knight, yep.
Which I don't know how that's going to tie in. And then the only other thing that this game has going for it, dude, it's Kevin Conroy's last performance. It's the last Batman performance from the Batman. I don't care who you are.
The Batman.
Kevin Conroy, God rest the man's soul, he is Batman. And how can I not play this at some point? Am I going to buy it brand new? Fuck no. Am I going to pay $30 for it? Maybe once it's the complete edition, all the DLCs and everything's out, and I will just blast through it and play, for the story. But that is the only reason for me to buy this game, is I want to see the story. This footage I pulled was from IGN. I actually watched their review of it that goes along with this footage, and they were complaining about really dumb shit that I thought was really just superficial and retarded. They were complaining about how like, oh, well, you got to kill the Justice League, and something about this makes me think there's just going to be like a rollback time kind of event, and blah 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 blah. But and like the whole like, oh, you put a bomb in Poison Ivy's head or something like that, and she's a child in this, and that's so fucked up. And I'm like, do you read comics? Do you know what the Suicide Squad are?
Like I said before we started recording, IGN isn't bottom of the barrel. That's definitely like Polygon and Kotaku and stuff. If they're a 1, I'd say IGN is like a 3 or a 4.
Yeah.
So I try not to give them much stock in anything. Their website sucks ass now, and they're starting to move towards sensationalized headlines and stuff, and then they have to do their best to quantify it, and they can't do a damn like. It's just stupid. Like you said, it's effectively written by people that have no idea what the hell they're talking about. They have no idea of the backstory on this or that.
Well, even
it just looks.
I mean, even if they do, it's such a weird
whole conversation. It's that whole conversation we've had in the past about how gaming journalism has become like awful.
Yeah,
and they're going down that path.
Lethal says in the chat, considering injustice has been around and people dying there, it's a weird critique. I agree. Of all the things wrong with this game, picking the fact that you're killing superheroes, dude, one of my favorite Marvel movies before like the new phase of like Disney making Marvel movies is X-Men Days of Future Past, because it is heartbreaking to see Colossus ripped in half, to watch Bobby Iceman's head torn from his shoulder. Like, it is crushing in that movie how they die, and it's weirdly enjoyable because it subverts what you know about these heroes.
What you expect. Yeah, superheroes always win, and now you're on the opposite end of things. And if I'm not mistaken, there's a trailer, and I want to say it's Batman, but it could be a different superhero like Flash or whatever. But there's a trailer that they showed of this game where Batman like grabs a security guard or something like that, and they're like, "Oh, it's okay. Batman doesn't kill anybody," and then the guard just falls down dead, like from some higher up point, and they're like, "Oh,
yep."
And like that's totally unexpected, especially for Batman, and so that gives you a different aspect of things to think about. So
yeah, that is what this game has going for it. I would say what they say is a critique is what makes this game good. It is subverting the expectations, and I genuinely hope Rocksteady doesn't roll this back in the future and like be like, oh, different universe or whatever. I don't think they're going to do that. I like the idea of this being the end of superheroes. Like, I think that's a really cool idea, and that's what makes this game interesting to me. The combat sucks, the gameplay sucks, the characters don't feel unique. What's going to do it for this game is the story. And, again, those are just my critiques of this game, but the reason I'll end up getting it is so I can experience the story. And that's it. That's the sole reason this game's going to sell for me, and it won't sell to me anytime soon.
Well, I mean, what we can always do is if I buy a PC version of the game, then you can download it. That way you can put your account on it, and then you don't ever have to play it. That way, when I play it, I can earn you stuff because they actually just confirmed that you can get gear and weapons and all that good stuff without even playing the game. Your friends can get it for you. So
that feels like Black
Desert reminds me
AFK gaming shit. I don't.
So there actually is a game that I really enjoyed that you can do that, and I'm trying to remember what it was, but it wasn't like super overt, and it was like every once in a while you could just kind of send stuff off to people, and it wasn't like. Man, I really wish I knew what game that was at the moment, but I've got this distinct memory of like basically you'd see something pop up like on like an item would drop, and you can click on it, and when you click on it, it would be like, this is for this person from your friends list, and it would just send it off to him. All you had to do is pick it up. So maybe it's something along those lines.
What was that?
Yeah, I want to say it was like Borderlands, but I know that's wrong.
Yeah.
But in any case, maybe that's what they're going to go for. Well, obviously, you're not going to be able to fully gear up some with the best gear, but
yeah.
Yeah, maybe it sort of incentivize your friends to come back to the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cool system, just like every other system that's new to gaming. It's all about implementation, so it all depends on how it's implemented, what that looks like. But I don't know, man. It's gonna be a while before I bother to play this one with so many other great fucking titles in the pipes. Yeah. Suicide Squad is definitely a back burner for me. Like, there's not enough there. Like, Kevin Conroy's last performance is the only thing alongside the weird, wild story that they're trying to tell. The banter seems... I'm not for it, personally. It's too much.
It feels on character for me.
It does, but from what I've seen and what I experienced, you get a lot of, like, clashing dialogue. And I guess that could be patched and fixed. But, like... I think this guy even said and had some footage of it, there was like 3 or 4 times where you'd have like 4 or 5 lines of dialogue overlapping each other from each character, and it was really like just too much.
I don't remember experiencing that.
Yeah, I didn't either, but I remember like 1 or 2 where like Captain Boomerang would start to say something, but I'd be playing Killer Shark, and then I'd trigger something, and then he'd start saying something, and then Deadshot would be responding to Captain Boomerang, and then so it was like this weird like continuous tie of events that kept happening for dialogue. It was weird.
That's probably something that'll be ironed out. Forspoken did anything like that. There was a lot of banter between the cuff and you could actually tone it down with a menu option.
Okay.
So they'll probably fix that.
Yeah. Again, I imagine that's something that can be patched and fixed. That's just cues, right?
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, if you're really looking forward to this game, I'd love to hear from you. Come into our Discord. Tell us why you're looking forward to it. Tell us what your experience was if you got a chance to play it in the NDA. If you didn't, don't take our word for it. We're not the end all be all. Obviously, Tim and I kind of see slightly eye to eye on this. I mean, he admits it's not the most unique gameplay, I guess, right? Yeah. But if this is your jam, and like, I love the original Crackdown, so I figured I'd like this. It just doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't feel right. Feels weird. Feels weird.
I definitely want to play it, but I'm not super dead set to, because there's lots of other games coming out in the next month and a half, 2 months that I'm just like, holy crap. And then there's one that I played the other day, the demo, and I was super stoked about how well it played.
Yep. Which, you know what? Great segue. If you got nothing else to say on Suicide Squad, we can go ahead and jump right into that.
and that was sort of my intent.
All right. So let's talk about this game you just played.
Yeah, so this game that I just played, I've actually been following it since 2017. It's been quite a while, honestly. It is, as you can see, Granblue Fantasy Relink. Actually, the image doesn't have the name of it, but as I just said, Granblue Fantasy Relink. It originally started back way before 17 as a cell phone title in Japan. Gacha game similar to, Genshin or whatever, except for not open world like Genshin, more like your typical gacha where it's like 2D sprites.
So Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis. Got it.
even no, like 2D sprites. We're talking like Super Nintendo style graphics.
Okay, gotcha.
Anyways, it got really, really, really popular in Japan, and eventually they made it an anime on Netflix, which it's a little juvenile for me, but ultimately I did enjoy the anime. It was fun. And then the anime came out after the game was announced. They originally announced it with one of the main characters, the female character there in the middle, not the blue haired, but the brown haired one. She was like on some sort of overlook for actually the area you're probably going to see somewhere in this trailer. Anyways, I was like, oh sweet, and then it disappeared for forever. Platinum Games actually originally started developing it back then, and then they came out with a fighting game, and actually they've come out with 2 fighting games since then. Granblue Fantasy Versus and Versus Rising, I think it's the newest one. That one came out last year at some point. They're supposed to be really good, but I don't particularly care for fighters, so I've ignored them.
Right.
But something happened. Platinum Games fell off the game, the development of the game, and Cygames took over. And I actually discovered when I was playing the demo that Cygames isn't who I thought they were. I thought they were the guys that made the Dot Hack games back on PlayStation 2, but it turns out it's some new developer. I've played a couple of their games, but most of what they've made has either been cell phone or niche. And anyways, this game is supposedly it's an online service, just like the last game we talked about, because it's an online co-op up to 4-player game that you can work together in. But it's also a single player game where if you're not playing with friends, the companions just kind of follow you around. And one thing I did note, which I don't know if the trailer that you chose has gameplay in it, but the gameplay was actually it very much felt like almost like a Devil May Cry style game, super fast paced. It was definitely a Platinum Games at heart, you could tell, and it was so much fun. There was a lot of exploration. It had a few mechanics from Genshin Impact in there, with like exploration and things of that sort, and it was like I said, it was just fun. The main dragon thing you're seeing right here, this red dragon thing, that's probably the only annoying thing about the game or anime, because it's the same voice actors from the anime, which is good. They're recognizable. But it's like I said, it's a fast-paced combat action game where you could actually team up with your buddies. If you bring down their shield level, you attack them enough times, their shield breaks, and then you can actually do a special attack. And if those are around you, you can link those attacks together. And same thing with your special. If you let your specials gather up, you could actually link them all in a row. And if you do more than one, you get an extra burst at the end or something like that. And if you're playing with AI, you're always going to get the full burst or whatever they call it.
Sure.
But it's this beautiful anime game set. I don't know if it actually follows the storyline of the anime. So that's one thing that I'm not sure of, and I kind of hope it doesn't. But even if it does, I don't see a problem with it. But I believe it's a mission-based game where you work your way through missions, old school style, where it's not a fully open world game, but it just felt really fun. I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was, and I was really happy when I walked away from it. And so it's definitely one I'm picking up. It's coming out February 1st, so about 2 weeks from now. And I hope they continue to support it in the long run, given it's a 4-player co-op game.
So can I ask, this is going to sound like I'm asking a joking question, but this is a serious question. You said that the voice actors for the game are the same as the anime.
Yes.
Are there only like 5 people that do voice acting for anime and anime video games? Because I swear to God, it sounded like, just pulling up this footage, like, don't get me wrong, I'm sure the gameplay's fun, and if this is your thing, it's your thing, I get it. But like, it sounded so generic. Like, I could tell you what the characters look like that were talking, and I didn't even have the video up because I was working on other stuff while it was downloading. Like, it was so generic JRPG that I was like, oh, this is why I don't like these. Because like, you had your like overly high-pitched squeaky girl, which is obviously the little chick.
Yep,
you have your
the
gruff.
Actually, no, that's the dragon. That's actually the dragon.
Okay. Well,
Yes,
hey,
yeah.
there's a change right there I didn't see coming. You have your gruff, rough and tumble, like sarcastic kind of stoic dude who's obviously the guy with the eye patch. Like it was so generic in the voice acting, and it sounded like literally the same voice that's done every single one of these games since Tales of Vesperia. And it's disheartening for me because, like, if it's not Final Fantasy, the two best games in my opinion of any game that uses this style of graphics, that uses like the anime function outside of the dot hack games, because those are classic and it can't be touched, are Tales of Vesperia and Tales of Symphonia. Their stories are fucking amazing. The gameplay is amazing. The voice acting is amazing. But it seems like a lot of games since then, especially in the Tales franchise, don't hold up as well as those two. And maybe that's just the lens of nostalgia when I played them, however that may be. But it really sounds like a lot of these games nowadays just kind of lean into these generic, what do I want to say here? Tropes and just like expected voices, I guess. Tropes is probably the best way to say it. Like,
which is so to answer your question more specifically, no, there's more than enough voice actors. However, at the same time, in video games and things where the actual person doesn't fill a role, as far as like you being able to see their person, typically when it comes to voice acting, when you are cast for a role, you actually voice 2 or 3 or even 4 characters in the game. Not always main characters. It could be, you know, your random side grunt that, you know, all he does is grunt or say, "Hey you," or whatever. Like, it could be something that small.
Sure.
But the same thing for like the Uncharted games. The guy that plays Nathan actually plays multiple other characters in the very same video game. So that does happen. However, you are 100% accurate that the tropes are hit. And that was kind of what I was mentioning about being juvenile. The anime,
sure. Okay.
is it definitely hits those pretty typical tropes, and it isn't meant for a mature audience as far as like, let's say, Attack on Titan goes. Like, it's not like that. Although those animes also do like to hit your pretty typical tropes as well. They just do so less obviously, I guess. It is. I mean, anime is huge.
A beach party scene. You just can't be anime these days without that.
You have to have that big gruff dude. You have to have that high pitched little girl or whatever. You have to. Yeah, I agree with you. Those tropes are a little bit annoying, but they're so part and parcel with most anime and video games of its type these days.
Yeah.
That I guess you just kind of ignore it.
I mean, you kind of have to. I feel like are there people out there that like look, I don't know, man. I guess everything's, you know, different for everybody, but like, I feel like it's so cringy. I don't know. Maybe it's just me being an old man at this point. It's just like,
possibly,
you know,
possibly, yeah. It's.
I go back and watch Trigun these days, and there's parts of it where I'm like, yeah. I don't know about that one.
It was written in the 90s or the early 2000s. Yeah. So yeah, for sure. Definitely, like I said, it just sort of comes with it.
Yeah.
Personally, for me, it was really the combat that made this game really fun. You do have to ignore some of the things that are more annoying, like those high-pitched characters. And if you're willing to accept, not necessarily generic, but expected tropey. I'm thinking more like like you can expect what to happen next. You know,
sure,
this person's going to get captured, and then you know these people are going to save them, and then the main character is about to die. Then you know what I mean. Like you're expected things for your fantasies, and this one doesn't really do anything super special. As far as, you know, being extremely unique. I will say that since you mentioned Tales of Arise was fucking awesome, and it is one of the best in the franchise by a long shot. And I actually did get some Tales of Arise vibes with this game.
Yeah.
Someone on Twitter, I was talking to him about it, and they're like, "What did you think of Arise?" And I'm like, "Actually, this game sort of reminded me of that." And it did definitely have that sort of feel to it. And this game, as you can see, it's a PlayStation 5. It actually is coming to PS4 and PC as well, and is cross-platform between the PlayStation platforms. For some reason, PC isn't included in that. In any case, there is a free demo. You can go download it and give it a shot for yourself, so you can get your own feel for it.
Yeah,
I thought the combat system was really well put together, and that's what really sold me on it, because it's effectively a Platinum Games at heart, and their games are always great.
Yeah, the combat system, just watching what's on screen, like I said, I was working on putting these scenes together as this was downloading and rendering and shit. It looks enjoyable. Movement looks good. It looks fluid. Like, as a game, it looks great. I just, hearing that, like, opening cutscene where they're on the ship, and I'm just like, like,
yeah,
my shoulders are in my eardrums. Like, God, this is cringy. It wasn't for me. It just wasn't. And I'm glad to know, like, the combat feels unique, but again, kind of like Suicide Squad, story is what does it for me. Like, story is going to sell a game. I will tolerate shitty mechanics and all kinds of crap for a story, and I still to this day think Tales of Symphonia is probably the best RPG in this franchise, in this style of game ever, because of how it subverts what you think is going to happen. Like, I don't want to
was the shit.
I don't want to ruin that for anybody who hasn't played it. If you like this style of game, shit, if you like RPGs at all, seriously, go get Tales of Symphonia. It will blow your fucking mind, because it turns everything on its head. Everything you think you know in that game, you don't know shit. And it is such a fantastic story. So.
Yes, it is absolutely one of the best. Tales of Arise, I don't want to say it does a good job of what you just said, but it does such a good job telling a storyline between two characters that basically hate each other from the outset for various reasons, and just the character progression of that game was fantastic. So
yeah,
it's another one that if you like Tales, or if you just like not turn-based, but action-based RPGs, Tales of Arise was one of the best this gen so far.
I've heard that about it,
and I'm hoping this.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm hoping this game turns out to be one of those as well. I believe this game's going to be more of a hidden gem for people like me that like this type of stuff.
Yeah.
But it also, I'm hoping, given the combat, that will get a slightly wider audience. So we'll see. But Tales of Arise is one of those that, like, go ahead, play that game. It's so freaking good.
When I was working at the game store out here locally years ago, I at least once a week walked over to the shelf and picked up that game and seriously debated taking it home. And I'm just like, not today. Like, every time I picked it up and I'm like, no, I don't know, man.
Tales of Arise actually just got an expansion pack for that matter too.
Maybe it'll
DLC, some major story DLC. So
maybe I'll put it on my list at some point in like 5 years when I have time to play video games again. All right. Any other thoughts on Granblue? Comes out next month.
Correct. It comes out February 1st, so we've got a little over 2 weeks on that. It is a PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, and PC title, and like I said, it has cross-platform between the PlayStation platforms. I highly doubt this will ever come to Xbox. It's just not the style of game that's going to sell, because this would only sell in Japan on Xbox,
which is why
of those that are sold. So.
Because Tales of Vesperia started out as an Xbox exclusive. Tales of Vesperia was Xbox 360 only. That started as an exclusive because that was the generation that Microsoft was trying to make people in Japan like really get into Xbox. Yeah. And they took quite a lot. Actually, Square Enix made 2 exclusive titles for that as well. Lost Odyssey and Last Remnant? Yeah.
Not Lost Odyssey. No, Lost Odyssey was actually made by... No. Lost Odyssey was Xbox 360. It was made by Sakaguchi, the guy that originally created Final Fantasy.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that is such a phenomenally amazing RPG. I wish they would bring it to modern platforms or PC or something.
Yeah.
That game is so fucking good.
Yeah.
But that's not what you're thinking of. It is that generation that Microsoft was trying to get more people into Xbox in Japan, and it didn't work out for them. And so that's why Tales of Vesperia started there. They basically paid for it.
Gotcha. Lethal mentioned we should check out the Star Ocean 2 remake. I never got a chance to play 2. I played, I think it was technically the third one. It was Till the End of Time or whatever it was. The PS2. It was when like action combat first became a thing, and you had like it was like a turn bar or whatever. Okay, yeah, that was 3. But I never got a chance to play 2. I might have to add that on the list as well. Thanks, Lethal.
Yeah, 2. What he's talking about, I have yet to purchase it, but I've seen a lot of gameplay, and the reviews were ridiculously positive for it. It's got that 2D, 3D style of like Octopath Traveler.
Yeah. And
they remade it in that vein, and it's supposed to be just a ridiculously good and faithful remake to the game.
Yeah, I remember.
I want it as well. I just have yet to buy it.
I remember seeing that trailer now. Once you said 2D, 3D remake, that 2.5D, whatever they did. But
yeah, 2.5D. There you go.
So I want to move on to, I guess, our last topic for our free side over here tonight. We're talking about a new, very strange game that just kind of happened across my feed that looked very interesting to me, called Esoteric Ebb. And the article that grabbed my attention for this was, it is a D&D game. I don't know if it's actually based off of D&D rule set, but it looks very inspired by it at the very least. It's a D&D game in the vein of Disco Elysium, where you play as I think the quote was, the world's worst cleric. And I was like, oh god, yeah, what the fuck is this?
Awesome.
Yeah, so I was like, that sounds really entertaining. So I looked a little bit into it. It's pretty cool. There's really not a lot about it.
Before we get too deep into it, Disco Elysium was phenomenal. It was a ridiculously awesome title that sort of took the world by storm in the style that it was, giving you a lot of player agency to do what you want. And since this is D&D, it almost looks like a Disco Elysium meets Baldur's Gate in the sense of player agency. And yeah, well, I'm hoping it can even be half as good as either of those titles, especially mixing the two.
So there is a free demo right now on Steam for it. You can download it right now. I'll read you off the caption here. Esoteric Ebb is a single-player RPG built on boundless tabletop freedom. Unravel a political conspiracy with your goblin sidekick, roll dice, intense encounters, explore a city on the brink of its first ever election, become a cleric or a cleric of legend, or completely ruin the campaign. It just sounds great, dude. Sounds great.
So having played Disco Elysium myself, this is Disco Elysium. It's just D&D instead. Like almost exactly the same. Like they basically just copy pasted and changed a few things, and obviously changed systems up a little bit.
I love the art style too, dude. Like the weird, like cartoony, hand drawn kind of line arty. I fucking dig it. I dig it a lot.
Yeah, it looks like maybe like a teenager's art. Like on his journals when he's in school, just fucking off. Like it kind of feels like that, and that's like not a bad thing. That brings back some memories.
Yeah. It looks like it is built on 5th edition. They have a thing in here that says 5th edition, like you've never seen it before. There's a little bit in the trailer. I don't know if you saw it when it played, but he's talking to a shopkeeper or something like that, and it gives him the option to fucking take down, and he rolls for it and he dives across and tackles.
Yeah, there's also like I said, it gives that player agency in a really cool way. Yeah, they say that it gives you boundless tabletop freedom. Like you said, it's a political conspiracy with your goblin sidekick, and it just. I'm now actually rather excited for this title. Is there any sort of release date for it?
It just says coming soon, but like I said, the demo is available currently. Looks like it has full Xbox and PlayStation control support on Steam. Free demo. Yeah, it doesn't say. It just says coming soon. Sudden Snail is the publisher behind this one. It looks like it's Sudden Snail and this guy Christopher. I'm gonna brutalize that name. Not gonna try and say it's Christopher. Actually, it is. It's Christoffer. Christopher. He's Bodegrad. No.
Or is that how you say it though? Just because it's spelled.
Like, you know what? Fair enough. Who knows? Anyway,
we can ask them when we shoot on this.
Yeah, definitely. I will definitely be telling them about our coverage here, because this game looks just stupid fun. I really want to download the demo and play it. I might do that tonight. We'll see. But there's not really a whole lot to be said past that. Check them out on Steam. They've got a Discord you can join. They've got.
Well,
go ahead.
We can add that the game actually has won 3 awards already, which, to be completely fair, I've never heard of any of these, but they've won the official selection of Tiny Teams 2023. They've won the WASD Curios Indie Game Showcase, and they've won the Sweden Game Conference Indicator Award. So they won 3 awards for this game already, and it's not even available. So it seems like lots of people like this already that have managed to play early versions of it or whatever.
Yeah.
So if you like Disco Elysium or ever been interested, this is something that you should definitely give yourself.
Good. If you like Baldur's Gate, this will play pretty similar to Baldur's Gate too.
And it's got a demo on Steam.
Yep, on Steam. I don't know if it's got a demo anywhere else, but it does on Steam. A couple more snippets here on their Steam page. They have be a rogue cleric. Morality is flexible, especially when you need to fulfill your duty. Bribe or blackmail, sneak or steal, break into locked buildings, or go against orders from above or below. Steal quest rewards. Just giving you again that clear agency that we're used to from Disco Elysium and from anybody who's experienced D&D on the tabletop. Also says that it's inspired by the 5e rule set. You'll play from levels 1 to 6. Mold your cleric to your play style. I imagine that means choosing your feats. If you get feats, leveling up whatever attributes, taking whatever spells you want, whatever. I do love this. Dress for the job. As an employee, as a government employee, a helm and uniform are required, of course, but no one said anything about accessories. Customize your look and abilities to your cleric as you choose how to engage with many of the tense encounters in Norvik. So, we see in the trailer, he puts a bucket on his head for a helmet. It's just, dude, it looks so good. It looks so good.
It really does.
Cannot sing its praises enough. I'm super interested in it.
So two things. I quickly Googled how to spell or how to pronounce Christopher, and it actually is Christopher.
Okay.
And two, I actually found his Twitter, his X, and apparently in the last 24 hours they've gotten thousands of new players into the demo, and they've actually more than doubled their wish lists.
Nice.
So it seems like it's getting a lot of good attention.
Yeah.
I mean, of course they don't give us exact quantifiable numbers, but doubling is still a really good thing, especially when you consider that you can see anticipation for the game.
Yeah, I just added it to my wish list. I'm downloading the demo now. I don't know if I'll play it tonight. Hopefully I will, but again, all of my gaming time is being boycotted right now by other things. But yeah, that's other things. Gotta be cryptic, right? Gotta leave them guessing. Esoteric
You
Ebb,
heard it here first.
I think Esoteric Ebb is a great name. I fucking love it. It's everything about this looks really fun. That's all I can say about it. It looks really fun.
So I just downloaded the demo. It's 136 megabytes. So that's almost nothing. If you're interested, go download it. That's nothing.
I thought it was 1 gig. Maybe
mine was 136 megabytes.
I thought it said it was 1 gig for some reason. Okay, yeah, very small. Not surprising because it's click turn based.
The style of game.
Yeah. But hopefully the content's good. I imagine they'll probably let you play maybe first 20 minutes or so of gameplay. Who knows? But check it out. Hit them on Discord. Tell them that you heard it here first on CoinDrop. If you heard it here first.
Yeah.
First. All right. So that's going to wrap it up for us tonight. Right on time. We're going to be heading over to our Patreon at patreon.com/CoinDropPod. And tonight over there, we're going to be talking about another indie game that's come across my table. And actually, Tim shared it with me called Pacific Drive. Looks really interesting. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. And we're going to be talking about the fact that I think Steam just allowed AI games to be published to their store. So we're going to get into that and what that all means.
Yeah.
So thanks for tuning in, and we will see you guys
Appreciate you, Lethal.
next time. Lethal, thanks for joining us. Tim, any final words before we part?
Do I steal it from you a third week in a row, or you say it this time?
Tell your mom I said hi.
There it is.